a lot of creative, ambitious, purpose driven people, something can happen as the years wear on and our collection of past failures, mistakes, disappointments, and heartbreaks weigh on us. It can start to feel scary and even dangerous to vision again. Because in the past, your big dreams and visions used to fill you and excite you and help you achieve all sorts of amazing things. Then there were all the times where it didn't pan out, where you walked away empty handed or broke, in debt. Maybe relationships were damaged through you trying to do what you did, or you started to build up a complex of like, oh my gosh, I'm that person who tries things and then pivots again, and people must think I'm flaky. I was someone who used to dream so big and nothing could stop me. Like anyone would say, oh, but maybe you should be a bit more realistic. And I was like, la, 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 not listening. And I did achieve some amazing things in my life. And then once I became an entrepreneur, that was when I started to have a bigger track record of things not panning out the way I thought they would. I would set really ambitious goals for launches, and they did not lead me to having these breakthrough results. Like, I imagined myself writing a testimonial for whoever's course that I'd taken, saying, my first launch was a six-figure launch. And meanwhile, like after all the expenses that I put into ads and to the course that I took, like I literally came out probably $300 in the hole. These kinds of things start to build up and we get vision shy. And it's not some quick fix. Like we don't get out of this quickly necessarily, because there is a process that we need to go through to get to the place where visioning feels safe again and where we can actually connect to our true desires without filtering them, without going, hang on, let's just shrink this a little bit. Wait, let's just be a little bit more realistic. Because the thing that our egos do is like, okay, well, clearly you were aiming too high. So what is something we know is a sure thing that you could aim for instead that's just a bit lower? And then it's like, oh, okay, how can we control the outcome? How can we make sure that this never happens and these things do happen? And I know for me, I started developing a lot of protective patterns like halfway through a launch, or not even halfway through, a few days into a launch. As soon as it started to feel like, oh no, I'm not getting enough clicks, I don't think enough people are going to buy, I would abort the plans. I would be like, nope, I'm out. And the way I was able to control the outcome of not having a failed launch was just to not finish the launch at all. But that's obviously not a solution. And I know a couple of years ago, it hit me that, oh, I'm overdue to really think about my vision again. I want to sit down and I want to reconnect to something so I can find that sense of purpose again. Because I was feeling just a little lost because I'd been in a really deep period of healing and integration and really just focusing on looking after myself. And I thought, okay, but it's time. I'm ready. I'm ready to do this. And then what would happen is every time I would go, okay, today's the day. I'm going to pull out my notebook and I'm going to do some meaningful vision work. Before I know it, I am somewhere else in the house completely. I'm like cleaning grout for hours on end, or I am reconciling my receipts in my accounting software, doing all sorts of things that previously did not appeal to me at all because they felt more safe and more welcoming than sitting down to vision. And so the day would go and I'd realize, oh, I never did that thing. Oh, well, I didn't think much of it at first, but within a few months, I noticed that it was an actual pattern. I realized I'm in avoidance. I am not sitting down for a reason. And thus began the journey of figuring out, why does it feel so unsafe for me to vision, and how can I get back to a healthy place with this? And if this is you and visioning scares you right now, or if you vision, but you know you've shrunk the vision, you know that you're really playing it safe and thinking, you know what, why don't I just aim lower? And because clearly this is not the right approach to visioning, let's take a moment. It's really important to understand that one of the things that potentially got damaged throughout this history of disappointments and failures, and when I say failure, I just mean failing to meet your own expectations, not to mention any rejection or humiliation or conflict, whatever came up from your past experiences. One of the things that most gets damaged is our relationship to self trust. we stop trusting ourselves. We think we are the problem. We obviously project that onto the vision itself. And we think, no, the problem is that I aimed too high. But really, the problem is that we no longer trust ourselves. It's really difficult to trust that things are going to work out if you don't even trust yourself in the process of trying to achieve anything. So, one of the things that we have to do is start really small, and we have to explore our relationship to self trust and look at all the ways we're currently betraying our own trust. I know this doesn't really seem like it's connected to visioning, but you got to trust me in this process as someone who spent years trying to untangle this. I found that for myself, there were a lot of ways I was betraying myself, where I was treating my clients with so much more respect than I was treating myself. Like if I make an appointment with a client, oh, I am there, I am ready, I am my best self. If I made an appointment with myself to do something, oh, that could be moved around. That could be pushed back. That could be completely forgotten altogether. So, one of the things we can do to rebuild self trust is to start setting those little goals and then holding ourselves to them. Seeing that, okay, whatever it is that I say I'm going to do, I'm going to start actually following through on that. It's like, oh, yeah, easier said than done. But once you are aware of this process and what is going on, you are going to treat those appointments to yourself a lot more seriously. And I even recommend you put like a special emoji or you put a special note to yourself anytime you make those commitments. Remind yourself, like put in those prompts to remind you that this is as important as client work. It is really important that we start treating ourselves with respect, with love, holding ourselves in compassion, and proving to ourselves that we can be trusted. So do a little audit. Where do you not trust yourself right now? What are all the things that you said that you would do that you are not doing? And then the next thing that we need to do is I'm going to bring my little chart back is we need to start rebuilding the bridge between the mundane and the mythic. There can often still be this tendency, like I know for me in the past, a lot of the time when I did end up in these disappointing states where I'm like, oh my God, I failed. This was a disaster. It's because I was way too focused on the mythic without having my feet grounded in reality. So I was setting goals based on something that was just not realistic. Great as a vision, great for something to work towards, but me going, okay, this is my very first course launch. I am going to set this particular goal for myself and this is the cutoff date and off we go. I was setting myself up for failure from the very beginning. So the way we're going to start to heal this is get away from those unhealthy goals that are not based on reality, that don't have a stair step process. Like, I want you to think, okay, I'm in point A right now, and maybe my vision is like point Z or Z. I am not going to set a goal that gets me to point Z right now because that is just ridiculous. What I'm going to do is figure out what is point B that would start heading me in the right direction. And let's set that as a goal. And then once we're at point B, we get to do point C and then point D and so on. And so we're chunking things down. So it's really finding this healthy sweet spot of like, okay, I have a vision that really excites me, something that I am working towards that can give me a sense of direction and help me set the right kinds of goals, the milestone goals for us to get to that point. But we're going to get there one step at a time, knowing that every single time we take another step, we get from point A to point B. We have rebuilt more self trust. We've built more skills. We've gathered more data. We are understanding ourselves better, understanding what it takes to get there. Also, it gives us this room for us to make these course corrections as we go, because sometimes the thing we're aiming for isn't even the right thing for us anyway. And it's a blessing when we don't achieve it. And then the other really important thing that we need to do, which I mean, it's important for all of us, but I think for especially for us who have been scared off visioning, is to remember that a lot of the time when we were setting these really big goals, they involved a whole bunch of things that we couldn't control. So, of course, there is a really high chance that we're going to fail because we're rarely going to meet our own expectations here. But if we can start to now focus on how we can show up and the things that we can control, that's when things start to really shift. So for you, again, like we've got point A to point B, that's great. But now let's also think about not just point B as a destination, but what it would take for you to get to point B, or the kinds of repeated actions that it would take for you to get to even point Z. But what can you control? What are your outputs? So, starting to set goals that maybe feel like a stretch and feel a little bit exciting and scary, but they're actually fully within your control. For instance, one of the best things I think that I ever did was that when I first started my YouTube channel, the OG version of it 8 years ago, I committed to creating 100 videos before giving up on that channel. I did not say I am going to keep going until I hit 10,000 subscribers or 100,000 subscribers. I had no subscriber goals. I had one vision where I was like, oh, I'd love to have 100,000 subscribers one day. But how does one get 100,000 subscribers? You create videos consistently. And so for you, it's like, okay, let's say that the equivalent of that 100,000 subscriber goal is the vision. Your actual goals are going to be based on your outputs. Who do you need to show up as? What are the things that you need to do? What can you control and make it measurable and make those ones specific? This is again about building self trust as well. It's like, okay, well, I know that the first thing I can do is create 10 videos and then I'm going to launch this thing. Then what I'm going to do is commit to creating X number of videos in a certain amount of time, which means I need to push out 2 videos a week for the next 6 months, whatever that may be. What is your equivalent of this? How can you switch the focus from things that you can't control that feel very risky to things that you can control that still might feel a little risky because you don't trust yourself, but we're working on the self trust thing in the process. These are just some of the ways we start to build this process of getting back to visioning, feeling safe. And then just know that the other work that we do kind of happens in what I call the underworld. It's where we need to do some work on healing the shame, do some shadow work. We look at your relationship to those past failures and we can go back and we can heal them. We can have compassion for ourselves. We start to rewrite narratives and we can also better understand our own patterns. And this is something that I do in my Mythic Journey offering where we really understand, okay, what have been your default patterns and what are you most likely to fall into and how has this been hurting you? And now that we can see it for what it is, what is the balm for this? Like, what is the elixir that's going to help you heal that part of you that's been hurting, but also start to really call out and name those patterns so that you can't just fall into them in future. When you start to, you will be able to catch yourself in the act and do something different. If you haven't done that work on the healing of looking backwards and also just looking in the mirror at, okay, what was the contribution that I was making to these kinds of things that eventually hurt me? You know, for instance, like me with my recklessness, my completely overly optimistic and unrealistic approach to goal setting when it came to things like launches, I've had to go, right, I did have a tendency to be overly optimistic. I did just jump in headfirst without thinking through the consequences. I did overextend myself financially and I didn't factor in other people's feelings during those things. And what I've had to do is take responsibility for it, name it and claim it, and then also forgive myself for it and have compassion. Because as long as we're in judgment about it, we're also going to stay scared of doing that visioning process. So I hope that makes sense and is helpful in some way. And if you are craving that kind of support and someone who can really create a safe space while you're working through some of this stuff, I would absolutely love to support you with Mythic Journey. But also, I'm hoping that what I'm giving to you right now will also be enough to just get you going and start that contemplation and help bring a new perspective to look at the past differently from how you have been so that we can just unlock your ability to reconnect to that vision and to trust yourself and to trust that the universe actually wants what's best for you. It wants to rally and support you and for you to live this incredible life. You are not here to play small. Your past failures are not a sign that you need to shrink your goals or that you are just destined for a small life. Not at all. It just means there is work to be done here. And when we do this work, we then become wisdom keepers for other people who are struggling. One of my favorite things to keep in mind is that wherever I've had the most struggle in my business and in my personal life, that is probably where I am best equipped to now help other people. And so for yourself, wherever you hold the most pain, just know that there is going to be so many gifts in there and so much of that treasure that I mentioned that lives inside the mountain is usually found in the darkest places. But once we actually go there and we draw light onto it, it stops being painful and we bring it out of the shadow, and then it becomes part of our gifts that we're here to share. So I will leave it at that for now, but do leave me any questions, any requests, anything like that in the comments, and I am more than happy to continue the conversation. Bye for now.